Duskfade is almost here, and if you've been looking for a reason to care about 3D platformers again, the demo just gave us plenty. After diving deep into the game, I found a world that is way denser than it looks, a combat system with some hidden depth, and a fresh new story that's just waiting to be explored. Duskfade is a 3D platformer meant to pay homage to the legendary games of the past, like Jak and Daxter or Kingdom Hearts. The game follows our main protagonist, Zirian, one of the very few humans in the world. We find out right at the beginning that Zirian and his sister Alira just lost their grandfather, and while Zirian, at least on the outside, seems to be taking it in stride, Alira is clearly not. Before you even get out of the opening cutscene, whatever she's working on explodes, destroying the house and starting you out on your journey. Early into the tutorial, we meet our sidekick, a mechanical bird named Cuckoo who has a very veiled past. All we know so far is that she was created by Alira, but we have no idea why. Zirian and Cuckoo soon discover that whatever caused the explosion also summoned a giant clock, and Alira is trapped inside. In order to save her, Zirian and Cuckoo must venture to the base of 4 massive chains to undo whatever this spell is, save Alira, and figure out what the story is with Cuckoo. Along the way, you're going to meet the Cloudy, a mysterious race of beings scattered all over this world. They're totally harmless, and you find out they actually live forever. But if you talk to enough of them, you'll soon discover they know a lot more about this world than they let on. They'll talk about their home in the sky, or drop hints about Cuckoo that they claim they shouldn't share. They create a very tangible reward for slowing down and talking to everyone. Some of the Cloudy might waste your time, but others help add critical context to the story, and you never know which is which. Duskfade is chock full of references and nods to those classic platformers, the most obvious of which is Cuckoo. She's a clear callback to the Daxters and Clanks of the world. But that's far from all. The sword is a very obvious wink at the Kingdom Hearts Keyblade, the upgrade gears are a direct tribute to precursor orbs, and even the clockmakers carry strong Oracle vibes. However, don't be mistaken. Even with all these nods, Duskfade clearly paves its own way with a completely fresh story. The entire world is saturated in its time and clock motif. You'll be bouncing across pocket watches, scaling giant gears, attacking with a literal clock hand, and facing a giant grandfather clock as your central obstacle. All of this mechanical branding provides a great complement to the game's core theme of grief. A main driving force of this story is the death of Zirian and Alira's grandfather. In the demo, Alira is visibly distraught both before and after his passing, and whatever she was building that blew up the house was clearly born out of that pain. But while Alira processes her grief in an explosive, external way, Zirian seems almost unaffected by comparison. I think this provides an opportunity for the game to give Zirian a massive character arc. I would love to see just a fraction of Alira's grief bubble up in Zirian, giving him not just the physical thing to overcome, but also this giant emotional hurdle. And that emotional bridge might actually be sitting right on his shoulder. One of the most interesting aspects of this game so far is Cuckoo herself. She starts the game as a total blank slate. She only knows she was built by Alira, but has no memory of her true purpose. But the bird is unnaturally attuned to Alira's feelings, and if you talk to the right Cloudy, they'll drop cryptic hints like asking each other if they should tell Cuckoo the truth before backing off. There's clearly something bigger going on here, and my theory is Cuckoo isn't just a gadget, she's deeply connected to Alira on a spiritual level, possibly even containing a piece of her soul or consciousness. If that's where the narrative is heading, Cuckoo might end up being the exact catalyst Zirian needs to finally confront his own grief. This world is surprisingly dense. It might not cover a massive open map with only 4 main chains to tackle, but the developers clearly tried to hide something under every rock. Beyond the valuable context you get from talking to the Cloudies, Echoes, and Cuckoo, Duskfade relies heavily on ability gates. You can't go far in the demo without running into doors sealed by red crystals or suspicious rails that you can't interact with yet. In fact, if you return to Ticktown after unlocking the grapple hook, you can actually use it to bypass an early gate. While it doesn't let you jump straight into the next mission, it leads you directly to the blacksmith where you can start upgrading your sword. A neat little early reward for paying attention. Now it's obvious we'll be backtracking through these levels once our toolkit expands, but the real key to the game's replayability is going to be what is waiting behind those gates. If returning with a new ability unlocks hidden lore, major gadget upgrades, or secret story beats, then finally breaking through that red crystal barrier is going to be very satisfying. But if that rail slide 3 levels back is just hiding 150 gems or a palette swap, going back is quickly going to turn into a grind. While this world has a million things hidden in it, I really love that you aren't forced to turn over every single stone if you don't want to. That alone makes Duskfade a prime candidate for speedrunning. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely worth taking your time on that first playthrough to soak in all the lore. But once you've seen the story, future runs are all about pure momentum. There's nothing quite like pushing a platformer's movement to its absolute limits, seeing how fast you can bounce from cog to cog, or figuring out if a dodge roll into a jump shaves off a few vital seconds. That exact mix of speed and precision is what kept those classic 2000s platformers alive for so long. When it comes to upgrading, Duskfade has two primary ways you progress. Finding a base ability out in the world, like the grapple hook or the chronoblast, gives you an immediate new toy to play with. But the real depth comes when you take the gems and cogs you've collected back to the Traveler in Ticktown. That's where you actually invest in your build. The skill menu is broken down into 4 distinct columns with 4 upgrade slots each. The Traveler doesn't just sell you flat stat boosts, he fundamentally changes how your tools work. You can upgrade your sword to give Zirian new attacks like a dodge roll strike, or upgrade the grapple hook so it actively zips you directly into an enemy for a follow-up attack. You can even level up the chronoblast to enhance its range and damage output. But easily the most interesting path to me is Cuckoo. The very first skill you get for her from the Traveler allows her to deal passive damage during combat. That immediately sets her apart. Most classic platformer companions were relegated to witty banter or acting as a jump glider, but giving Cuckoo an active, persistent role in fights feels much closer to having Donald and Goofy backing you up in Kingdom Hearts. That's a huge step up from someone like Daxter, and it turns her into a legitimate partner in battle. Now at first, when I realized there were only 16 upgrade slots total, and that you could unlock almost 4 of them right here in the demo, I was a little nervous that these upgrades weren't going to amount to much. But after filling out that first row, I could immediately see how these abilities are meant to stack together. Even with the limited tools the demo gives you, my combat options opened up to the point where going back and starting a fresh save felt pretty limiting by comparison. That's a huge green flag, because it proves the character progression actually has weight behind it. When it comes to combat, Duskfade leans heavily into animation commitment. On your basic 3-hit sword sequence, that heavy third finisher locks you into place for a second, meaning if you time it wrong, you're going to take a hit. But the good news is, this is where those Traveler upgrades really start to shine. Instead of forcing you to commit to that risky third swing every time, skills like the dodge roll strike or the grapple hook attack give you creative ways to extend your combo. Learning how to weave skills together so you don't get caught in those recovery frames feels awesome. And if the full game hands us even more tools, these combo extenders are only going to stack further. I can't wait for Duskfade to come out, but there are definitely a couple of key things I'm going to be watching for in the full release. First, I want to see Zirian start to peel back the layers of how he's dealing with the loss of his grandfather. For a game whose central theme is grief, you'd expect the main character to carry a lot of emotional baggage. So far in the demo, we haven't seen much of that internal struggle yet, so I'm really looking to see how his demeanor evolves, and what emotional hurdles he has to overcome alongside the physical journey. Second, I'm curious to see what's actually hiding behind those ability gates. We're clearly going to be backtracking to earlier levels once we unlock new tools, but what's waiting for us on the other side is going to make or break that loop. If it's a meaningful story beat or a high-value upgrade, that's great. But if it's just blocking the 30-second collectible chest needed to 100% the game, it's going to feel like a letdown. Ultimately though, this demo delivered on what it set out to do. It gave us a crisp new world to explore, hit that sweet spot of 2000s platformer nostalgia, and gave us something to count down the days for. And that's it! If you liked this guide, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Foesides Guides.